In the darkness before dawn, before the parades, before the fireworks, the sky opened over Texas, and the Guadalupe River roared. What followed wasn't a storm, it was an ambush. A wall of water nearly 30 feet high smashed through central Texas, drowning entire neighborhoods and shattering families forever. More than 80 people are confirmed dead. Around 28 of them were children. Dozens remain missing, and many from a single summer camp.
The hardest part was there was a little boy who started floating downstream, and he was screaming, asking for help, but there just wasn't anything anybody could do at that point.
What happened in Kerr County is now one of the worst flash flood disasters in Texas history, and one of the most haunting questions remains.
That is a great question, but again, we want to make sure that we continue to focus. We still have 11 missing children that we want to get reunited with our families. Until we can get reunited with our families, we are not going to stop until we do.
The signs were there. Wednesday, Texas emergency managers activated response resources. Thursday, 1:18 p.m., the National Weather Service issued a flood watch for Kerr County and surrounding regions. Forecasts warned of 5 to 7 inches of rain. Not ideal, but not catastrophic. But by midnight, that changed. 1:14 a.m., Friday, the first flash flood warning hit. 4:03 a.m., an emergency flood warning was issued, the highest level. 5:34 a.m., the Guadalupe River was in full revolt, and the warnings became dire. In just 45 minutes, the river rose. There was no time to evacuate. There was no time to think, only time to run if you could. Texas resident woke to the sound of water and silence. At Camp Mystic, dozens of girls were sleeping in their bunk beds, unaware of the danger rushing toward them. By sunrise, more than half of the identified deceased were from Kerr County. Many of them were children. There were no evacuation orders, no sirens, no voice screaming, "Get out now." Because in Kerr County, there is no flood siren system. Years ago, it was proposed, but never built. The reason? It was too expensive. Instead, residents had to rely on phone alerts in an area where cell coverage is known to be notoriously unreliable. At a press conference days later, officials insisted no one expected this. Governor Greg Abbott called it a water wall that no warning system could have prevented. Emergency Chief Nim Kidd admitted, "There's no alert system on the ground, and even if you're signed up with no signal, you won't get it." The National Weather Service stands firm. It says alerts were issued early and often, and the forecast was accurate. Extra staff were on duty. Warnings were sent with up to 3 hours' notice. So where did the disconnect happen? Cracks run deeper than Kerrville. Nationwide, the NWS has seen budget cuts, staffing shortages, and technology delays. Weather balloons, essential for forecasting, are being launched 20% less often than before. Key positions remain unfilled. Critical updates delayed, and storms are becoming more extreme, more sudden, and more deadly. Jonathan Porter, chief meteorologist at AccuWeather, didn't mince words. He said, evacuations could have saved lives, but people didn't act or didn't believe. Now, search crews are working round the clock. Mothers wait for calls that may never come. And a country asks itself, what good are warnings if no one hears them? What price do we pay for inaction? This was not just a storm. This was a test of infrastructure, leadership, and of the ability to protect the most vulnerable. And Texas failed. For the victims and those missing, for the families waking up to silence, for a community drowning not just in floodwaters, but in regret, because when the water came, there was no one left to warn them.